right, people. Good day, good day, good day.
Good
Another
day.
beautiful day in the neighborhood. Another episode of Creators Over Cocktails. This is the one we're closing the decade out. We have a special guest today. And for those that are joining us for the first time, you know, we do this in a way to fellowship with creatives here in Nashville that are doing some amazing things, that are creating pathways for other artists. Whether you're in culinary, music, visual art, we like to sit down with artists and just talk and really, you know, create a platform where we can have this dialogue with the whole purpose of moving the needle forward when it comes to the creative economy. So here I am, Brian, Lionel, Ebony.
Yo. And
And
I'm super excited to introduce her because I think I've been stalking you, and I think the police are probably on their way because you might have a restraining order against me. But it's okay. We're gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right.
That's all right.
I just love her so much.
Gina's done so much in the entertainment industry, and just not in entertainment, just in culture. And I mean, she's a life coach to some, a minister. She's a sister. I know for our organization, Creatives Day, she created a space, a space for us to create content.
Wow.
You're doing some stuff with the Grammys too, right?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, definitely doing some things with the Recording Academy. Excited about that. We have a wonderful committee, the diversity committee, and I'm co-chairing that this year. So I'm excited.
Congratulations.
All
Thank
around.
you.
Congratulations.
So everybody clap it up for Gina Miller.
Yay! I think it's just amazing because there's just a lot that you do. And as someone that is kind of understanding this industry, I've met so many different women who have told me that there is not a space for women, not just Black women, just women, period. And a lot of people telling me these are people that are beyond my years. They are people that serve in manager positions or just positions that I'm looking at and I want. And they're telling me that, oh, you're going to have to give up a lot of yourself as a female and deal with being under a male power. And you prove all of that wrong. So I want to just ask you about your journey and whether you've ever felt that way. Like you've...
Wow, that's a great place to start. No, it really is, because it's no secret. We can look around and see that the entertainment industry is male dominated. Most positions are held by males, mostly white male. And so it's really easy, I would think, for someone to say that, especially if you don't have the confidence and fortitude to just keep trudging through it and without compromise. So I have to add that part, because I do feel uniquely that my journey has been such that I did not have to compromise who I am or what I stand for. As a matter of fact, if I did anything, I countered the culture by remaining true to who I am and said, you know what, take it or leave it. This is who you get, no matter where we are, no matter what room I'm in, no matter who I'm standing next to. I can remain this person at all times, at all cost. And so walking into, I've been where I am now for, this is going on year 16. So, and that journey started as an internship, and it was a non-traditional internship because I had a husband and 2 sons at the time.
Oh, wow.
So I walked in at a juncture of my life where, quite honestly, if I can just be truly candid, I was facing some of the darkest times of my life, and I walked into a company then called Light Records.
Okay.
Oh, come on now.
And
I like that. I like the
it saved
idea.
my life. It
Yeah.
literally was.
It brought
where
some
I was
light
supposed
when
to
you was
be.
dark.
It brought me everything I needed when I was dark and thinking that my life was over as I knew it.
Okay.
I was facing a divorce. I had 2 young children. I had a lot of things that a lot of young women have, a lot of women have, and I just was like, okay, what's going to happen here? I also have a lot of papers like other people have, so that wasn't a thing. I had done some things. I was teaching. I also have a music degree to teach music. I have a license to teach K through 12 in the state of Tennessee. And so I just had some things, and I thought there's got to be something else that I need to be prepared for in a bigger way for what I was facing.
Yes.
And so, long story short, I was at my son's Little League game, and every week this guy was there, and I was like, okay, the rest of us are in Camrys and Corollas. He's in a Porsche.
Oh,
Okay.
He's so
Okay.
I need to know him.
Right.
I literally, towards the end of that season, just took a step and walked over to him, and I was like, hey, who are you? What do you do? And he started talking about these artists, and I lit up, and I was like, these are my artists. Like, I love these artists.
Right.
These are the people I buy and support.
Right.
Really?
This is the music I grew up on. This is the soundtrack of what I am, who I am. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, we're just right over here off Music Road. I went, what? You know,
So the irony that you were already working in and around music, but you had this other parent on your kids' team that was in the same industry.
That was
y'all
in the
just
same industry. And here's the thing.
to connect.
And at the time, I was selling real estate. I was doing all kind of things. I was working at Apollo Middle School as the ISS teacher.
Wow. Wow.
I have never probably said that out loud, but that's you can fact check that.
That's amazing.
I was working at, and let me just tell you, when he said to me that was the label, and I told him I've been buying this music for years. You know, I grew up in church, so I taught this stuff to the choirs, you know. So he was like, really? I was like, yeah, I know this catalog.
Yes.
Like, it was nothing for me to learn. I knew this catalog. The Hawkins family, the Winans family, all of the mass choirs, like everything that they had done. Andre Crouch, like, I knew this catalog.
Right.
And so he said, well, I don't do the hiring because I'm the CEO, but I'll turn you on to and introduce you to our president. He does all the hiring. He makes the decisions. I can't make you a promise. I said, I don't need a promise. I need an introduction.
That's it.
Wow.
You get me the introduction, I'll get in the door. Don't even worry about it.
Right.
And I mean, and that's really how it happened. I met that president then, and he said to me, we don't have any jobs. And I said, okay, just let me come hang out. I'll come every day and see what you all are doing. Let me learn what I can learn. Let me help where I can help. Let me insert myself and be engaging as much as you would allow. And in the places that you don't need me to, I'll step back and be as invisible as I need to be.
Right.
I did that for about a year, every day.
Just came
I
in.
got up and dressed like I was getting paid, and I showed up
Right.
for a year.
Wow.
Until he finally said, okay, this is not right. Like, we got to
do
do
something
something
with her, yeah.
So they created a part-time job for me after all that.
Look at that.
You
And we
know,
talk-
that tenacity and that ability to just make that understanding or that decision, it's not what you have currently. You have people now that's like, if you're not paying me, I'm not going. I don't care if this opportunity is like there. I want the opportunity now. I better get paid for it. But you said, you know what? I need the experience. The experience is the payment.
The experience is the payment.
Yeah.
And I understood that there was some value in that, even beyond what I could see, because I didn't see anything. There was no opportunities presented. So I was thinking that I had to believe that there was something beyond this that I could see, that I could imagine, that I could use later, whether it was not here. I could forever put that on a sheet of paper underneath real estate license, K through 12 license, and say, I did this. This is now value. It's equity in my future. And so
Equity in my future. I love that. That's powerful.
That's a great way to put it.
That's a great way to put it.
So I really walked in there, not really even thinking that they were going to get to a place where we could create something. Literally, my naivety kept me coming back every day. Like, I'm learning more and more. I'm doing more and more. I have more and more responsibility. I'm showing up at places that people thought the company was paying me to be, where I was paying for myself to show up.
Wow. And how many people told you were crazy in this? Were there people
Well,
like, how many?
there were
they
a
in it?
few
great
people,
question.
but I do think that most people didn't know. They didn't know to the degree that I was I was assimilating myself.
They
in a
knew
way.
what was doing, but not how it was actually
How
being
it was
formatted.
right. They thought I was an employee by all accounts.
Do you think that is actually a good thing to not tell everybody what the whole parameters?
I think we have to just be careful about talking so much, period.
And sharing so much
We just
on social media.
And social media, there's a place for that. And there's content that serves that space.
Right.
But I do think sometimes we over-announce things, we overtell, we overshare prematurely.
Gotcha.
So I had really nothing to tell, really. What I was doing was setting up for something that really was not connected to anyone other than all I could see was myself, my future, my children. And so I can't say that other than my immediate family and friends that anybody else really knew. The staffers eventually knew, and they kind of looked like, what are you doing? But it worked itself out. It really did. It worked itself out, and that part-time job led me to a next full-time job, which has taken me to every division of this company. I've worked in every department pretty much. I've had every title you could have.
Really?
And I've moved up from a coordinator to a manager to a director to, national, worked in retail, national sales, worked in marketing, worked in all different kind of areas up until where we are right now. VP status for the last 8-9 years, now to my next level. So that's where we are. There are a lot of conversations going on right now about what artists know and don't know, what musicians know and don't know, and what industry executives know and don't know. And I do think that there is some responsibility on those that have come before us to teach.
Yes.
But I also think that it's some responsibility on ourselves. And I was even having this conversation with my mom the other night. And there are some things that we can't expect because there's a thing that I call innocent ignorance. You can't go and study what you don't know you should know. But there are some things that you should know to go and look for. Like, I can tell you without a doubt that this guy across from me has probably studied producers on packaging. He knows who played bass on something. Like, I think that there's some level of studying that we can do with what we know to grab. And people don't take advantage of that as much, I don't think, as we used to. And I know there's a conversation about liner notes are no longer present, and that changes things too. But there are some things that we can just work on ourselves that have nothing to do with, you pick something and dig into that and study it and make it become habit. And I think that was part of the preparation that took place before I got there.
Tell me where this passion for music comes from. Like, even before the working in music or the education, like, what were those early
Listen,
influences?
let me tell you something. You see this room we're sitting in? It's about the size of my mama's house. Really? And in that house, we had 2 pianos, an organ, all kind of instruments.
Okay.
My mother was a school teacher.
Okay.
My grandmother lived in that house, and she played piano, and she taught 10 children how to play. Her 10 children. My dad's mom lived across town about 7 minutes away, and she had a piano, and she taught her kids so she could play as well.
Yes.
Now, the difference between them, my maternal grandmother played with a Scott Joplin kind of style, very ragtime. She was born in 1903, so
Right.
She's definitely, you could hear her playing, and would put you in the mindset of, ragtime.
Yes.
And my paternal grandmother was born in Mississippi Delta. Sound like we were the juke joint. So, you could just hear the blues. You could just hear Suge Avery coming down, coming somewhere. Suge's in town, And so I felt like that if I would assess both of them, that I'm probably a good blend between what they both musically had to offer.
Okay.
And while neither one of them taught me, nor my mother, who was our church pianist growing up, she didn't teach me either. We were at an event, and I was about 5 years old, playing on the piano, and then every neighborhood had a candy lady and a piano teacher. Every neighborhood in Black America, all over the world, there's some things that just are commonality. I don't care where you are. There's a candy lady,
the sweets and the music.
Indeed,
and a mean music teacher.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Well, that mean music teacher walked up to my mother with her. Then this is very brass to me because I'm like, she knew you could play. And it wasn't insulting to you. So she walked up to my mother and said, "Bring her to me."
Oh. Huh.
She did. And now my mother plays every Sunday.
Right. What can she teach you that your mama can't?
And when they retold the story, Mom said she didn't question it. She didn't argue about it. She didn't second guess it. She said, "Yes, ma'am," and got me enrolled. And I was 5 years old. And that lady taught me to her death.
But that's something amazing to say, because though your mom was a pianist and she was a pianist, and it's like there's 2 jobs, but there's 2 ways of going about it. There's 2 different skill sets. So there's something that I might know that you don't, vice versa. So I feel like your mom understood that, and your mom was just like, yeah, she can. Let's have this happen. And how was it though, the experience with the 2, like learning from your mom and then learning from her?
Well, I observed a lot from my mother, and I will say, to go back to even your initial question, what you posed on the table, the balance that I did not my mother, she had no balance. There was no life balance here. No work. She went to work. She taught, and we went to church.
Right.
Round the clock every day.
Right.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that I've done a better job, but I'm really trying to make sure that those that are behind me and work under me and with me, that I am trying to help show them a better way.
Yeah.
That to have some life balance, and you don't have to give up everything. I sat on a panel last year, because I do want to touch on something that you struck a chord with what you said. And they were a wonderful group of women who were talking about what they sacrificed for who they are right now, right? And so that sacrifice comes a lot of different ways. So I would never question what anyone else deems as their sacrifice. But in this particular conversation, it was, I don't miss a game. I don't miss a play. I don't miss anything that my children do. Work can go to the back while I go do that.
Yes.
And then, you had the other person who's like, I'm not, my spouse and I are creating this time. I don't care what happens. At 6 o'clock, my phone goes off and it's going to be blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay. And so it went that way until it got to me. And quite honestly, the first thing I said, well, no one gets married expecting a divorce.
Yeah.
Like, no one goes into it thinking,
Oh, it's gonna be over with.
Exactly.
This is gonna last for about a year, and then I'm gonna be out.
And nobody's
I got a lot of plans.
And nobody's gonna waste their time like that,
No.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. I thought that was a little insulting. It's a blanket statement, But I will say, I made a lot of decisions to not be present, and that was my choice.
Yeah.
And with every choice and decision, there's consequences.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And there's something that you have to give up in order to get. I was never told that I had to do those things. It was my perception of what I had to do.
Oh, I love that. You said that. It's your perception. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was my perception. It was something that I created that said, this is what I have to do and give up in order to get where I'm going. Now, was it the right blueprint or not? I don't know, but it got me here.
Right.
But it didn't get me here without a lot of cost.
Right.
And a lot of things that I'm now, that equity, I'm cashing in on some of those problems now.
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't do anything any different either.
Yeah.
I did it my way, and I can say I did it my way. And I did it my way with peers who said, bring your children on trips. But Gina, did not want to be the person that every time you turned around, I had my children on a road trip.
Right.
Not with the direction I was going in, the way. And I was also shaped by a father who's a serial entrepreneur. And I went to work with my dad a lot when necessary. But I also looked at the way a lot of people also viewed those who had to do that. And so I tried to just extend myself to the resources that I needed to be able to not have any excuse about why I couldn't be somewhere, why I couldn't give 100%. And quite frankly, in my mind, I did think that, well, as a woman, what people count on is that those are the excuses. And it's no different really from people once you get to a certain level who say to you, oh, we didn't call you because we thought you were busy. Well, you don't know how busy I am.
You don't know my schedule.
Don't assume that.
Don't assume that. You know, we thought it was going to be too cheap for you. But you don't know I like cheap stuff. I eat the White Castle. We were just going to White Castle. I like White Castle. Why would you rob me from that? And so it's just, but I'm saying that because that's a very relatable analogy, but that's really kind of what it was. And no one said to me, you have to do this, you can't do that. But it was going to make me a little more rigid, I think, in my approach to the way I saw what I should have been doing.
So to recap, what started at a game, you followed a hunch. There were several sacrifices. That same thing we were talking about, showing up, even when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
That sacrifice and hunch that you followed led you all the way to being listed on Billboard's list in 2018, women in music, most powerful executives.
Yeah.
Talk about that experience.